by just being back in the lineup?
Well, he's going to fix a lot of it. And look, I get the addition of Russell Westbrook. I think the idea there was to take some of the playmaking responsibilities off of LeBron throughout the regular season. They've got 82 games to figure it out until the playoffs. But the one thing bringing LeBron back is not going to fix is they don't have a consistent elite shooter. And that, to me, is what they're missing the most. They're missing that spacing. If those three guys are going to play together, along with THT on the court a lot with them, they need shooting, and they don't have that right now. Consistent, elite shooter? Is there someone in this two box who fits that frame? Because it ain't me. Are you? Well, there's one sitting at home in New York City, actually. Oh, yeah, well, Richard was trying to get in on that, but we're like, no, he's. We know it ain't Perk. We know it ain't Perk. Oh, bless him. We know it ain't Perk. Thank you so much for joining us, JJ. But please stick around. We need you for Nets Warriors coming up a little bit later in the show. The Bulls being incredibly dangerous out in transition. That's what caught my eye yesterday. But then in the press conference, did y'all see Lonzo's chain? Yo, he was blinging. That's what you got to do in L.A. You got to bring it. Do you have that, Zach? Got a chain. Did you say, yo, he was blinging? Like as a verb, blinging? Hot. Yeah, look, sometimes you just got to make it. DeMar, you heard him say, I'm playing with a little bit of chip on his shoulder. All that chatter in the offseason. Why is he playing so well right now? I think there's a level of freedom that DeMar DeRozan has right now. You got to understand, he left Toronto in a very emotional way. He went to San Antonio, and now he has an opportunity to pick. This is the first time he was a free agent, where he gets to decide where he wants to go, the players that he wants to play with, the city that he wants to be in. And I think he just taken all of those chips and all of those things that has kind of been lingering and kind of hovering over him, and he's playing with a new level of freedom.
First of all, we need to have an emergency summit about the word washed. Nobody said DeMar DeRozan was washed. I didn't say that. There was not one person who said DeMar DeRozan was washed. Was there some skepticism about his fit and his mid-range? Sure, but not washed. Look, the question everyone had about the Bulls when they combined DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic was, how is this team going to defend? Well, they defend. They're fourth in defense, and I'll say this, Malika, you and I were at the game. Of all the teams I've seen in person, they gained the most watching them in person because you felt just how up in people's faces Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso are, how fast they transition from one end of the court to the other. They just are playing ferocious basketball. And the other thing that stood out, they really like playing with each other. They're rooting for each other, trying to set each other up. Right. It's easy to do that when you're winning.
But you also got to talk about Caruso leading the league in steals and what he's been doing.
He and Lonzo.
Like they've been adding Lonzo and Caruso have helped that defensive pairing of DeMar, Zach, and Vucevic.
Well, and speaking of liking to play with each other, JJ, we heard DeMar say that Zach LaVine wanted him to go for 40, but he's like, I'm too tired, man. What have you seen from DeMar DeRozan in Chicago?
I have a question first, actually. How big does Perk's head look to y'all?
Oh, from my vantage point,
thank you.
From my vantage point in New York, mine is like, I don't know. I'm like 30%.
Thank you. Welcome, JJ. That'll be the last time I agree with someone from Duke, but go ahead.
Well, look, I think DeMar made a huge leap in playmaking when he was in San Antonio. It sort of went unnoticed. Last year, he averaged a career high in assists. To me, this is the most complete we've seen DeMar as an offensive player. He's even added in 2.5 threes per game, shooting it at 37%. We've seen seasons where he's completely ignored the three-point line. So he's sort of doing everything right now. If you were to have an MVP power rankings as of today, I'd put DeMar DeRozan third after Steph and KD.
Interesting. Hey, Perk, is your head okay?
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I'm gonna give JJ a pass today, man, because this is my guy, and this is our first time. I was gonna sing "Just Let Your
today.
Soul Glow."
Just today. Just for today.
He got the to the left. I wasn't gonna get on there today. I was just gonna talk about the Lakers.
Okay.
Since everybody's talking about Bulls, and rightfully so, can we talk about how disgusting the Lakers look?
We can talk about it. We can talk about it. We'll get to it, Perk. Give me just one more second with the Chicago Bulls because they were that good. They're 10-4, which is tied for second in the East. So I just want to ask JJ, what makes this team so tough to play against?
Well, as Zach alluded to, I think it's their defensive pressure up front. Adding Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso has been great for them. Alex Caruso, to me, is one of the most underrated free agency additions this past offseason. The Lakers miss him, and he's been tremendous for the Bulls. He doesn't have to score to impact a game. He's so disruptive on defense, and he's been absolutely great for them.
Perk, I know you're champing at the bit here, so come on, let me have it. What were your takeaways from the Lakers side last night?
Well, the Lakers are supposed to look like the Bulls are looking right now. And here's the thing that bothers me the most about the Lakers. You have a group of veteran guys that have come together for one goal and one goal only, and that's to win the championship. And when I watch the Lakers play, I don't see that. And obviously, it's the obvious plays of them not being able to knock down three-point shots. But as we saw in the film that Richard was talking about, we didn't see them getting back in transition. We don't see the Lakers making the hockey assist. And to those out there that don't know what the hockey assist is, that's actually the pass that leads to the assist for the bucket. We see a lot of hero my-turn basketball on the offensive end where they take shots at the basket and you're like, what are you doing? And then defensively, they're just not there, right? That perimeter defense is not there. It's Westbrook. He has to be the leader on that side of the ball by getting into the ball, getting up over screens, setting some type of tone. If Alex Caruso could go out there, and I'm not discrediting him because I love what he brings to the table, but if Alex Caruso could go out there and have an impact on the game by getting into the ball, doing the little things that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, and Russell Westbrook is just as athletic as Alex Caruso and not doing those same little things that don't show up in the stat sheet but equals to winning, then that's a problem for the Lakers. I just don't understand how you have a group of veterans that can't come together and sacrifice and show and play winning basketball on a consistent basis.
Well, look, Perk is telling the truth here. The one thing that I will say about this Laker team is that you know they have the pieces. The hardest thing, in my opinion, is to get the talent that is needed to be successful. Obviously, they're missing LeBron James. Obviously, they've had injuries to Kendrick Nunn, to THT, Trevor Ariza. They've had a ton of injuries. But the flip side of this is also the softest part of their schedule. And some of the losses that they have are against teams that have a quarter of the amount of talent, even with all of those players missing. And so that, to me, is the most, disheartening thing about where the Lakers are right now.
Feels like they haven't played a road game yet the whole season. I'm going to say something nice. Taylor Horton-Tucker played well.
He did.
That's a nice thing. I'll tell you what was striking. The Lakers have Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis on their team, 2 future Hall of Famers.
Top 75.
There was not 1 second in last night's game where they looked nearly the Bulls equal. The Bulls were just way better than the Lakers. And that underscores to me, they need MVP level LeBron. They're just not very good without LeBron. And LeBron is reaching a point in his career. We've seen the injuries start to happen. He's 3rd all time in minutes. There's no precedent for a player that has played this many minutes. There's no precedent for LeBron, period. But there's no precedent for a player playing this many minutes being a top 3 or 4 player in the NBA. That's what they need, because you can show me THT, Ariza,